2019, and this is our regular board meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional District. I would like to acknowledge that we are within the territory of the Sechelt First Nation, and thank you all for being here today. We are going to start with the adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Amended.
Amended agenda. We have a couple of late items that were added in from our Corporate and Admin Services Committee this morning and into this afternoon. Move it as amended and seconded. Thank you. Any further amendments to be done? See none. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next on our agenda, our amended agenda, are the minutes of our regular board meeting of April 11th in 2019. May I have a motion to adopt? Move and adopt. Thank you. And seconded. Any errors, omissions, additions? Seeing none, sorry. Okay, they'll come after. Okay, so first off, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Director McMahon.
Okay. We deferred the question of a standing rural directors committee somewhere around here. But I didn't mean that to understand that we were not going to have regular get-togethers for the rural directors to learn about issues like rural planning, and we haven't. So I just wanted to flag that we should have some meetings coming up. I don't see any on our schedule right now, but two education sessions in particular I'd like to see are one on rural planning and another one on bylaw enforcement.
Okay, I'll give. Well, I think does staff need anything other than that? Just to. So noted. Thank you. Okay. Any other business arising from the minutes or unfinished business? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our presentation today from, we have Mrs. Lorraine Reed of the Sunshine Coast Rotary Club here to tell us about a couple of projects that Rotary is embarking on, and I will leave it to Lorraine to talk to us about it. Oh, sorry. Oh, you want to?
First, I'd like to say thank you for your support for our sign projects. These are the highly visible house number signs, and so far we've sold over 50. So you'll see them on the Sunshine Coast. So thank you for your support of that, particularly your staff person. I would like to thank you also for having me speak with you today. We have two public service projects that we are embarking on, and I'd like to tell you about them. They're a joint safety project involving the AEDs and flotation devices. Now, these are the flotation devices. There are two presently on the Sunshine Coast. They were given to us by the Kauai Rotary Club, and we posted them at Davis Bay by the washrooms and by the on the wharf. So they cost about $75, and they're made in North Carolina. We don't know what the taxes, duties, and delivery charges will be as yet, but we're thinking probably $150 to $160 American. When I was on Bowen Island in October, I noticed that at a trailhead and at a beach, there were two AEDs in a birdhouse. And Leonard's going to send that down and show you, so you have an idea of what we're talking about. It's a picture of the device in a birdhouse, and the Rotary Club makes the birdhouses after they've purchased the AEDs. The Rotary Club's intention is to provide these devices in places that the respective governments think it would be appropriate. Presently, the District of Sechelt has agreed through Perry Schmidt to install and maintain 4. The town of Gibsons, through Wendy Gilbertson, has indicated that they would like to have 4 also. The Sechelt Indian Band has agreed that they would like 3 devices and 3 AEDs. Their safety officer, Lori Wingy, hasn't given any written documentation to this effect, so that isn't for certain yet. The LifePak CR Plus, which you have a copy of. Did you send everything down? Okay. These AEDs will cost $1,629 American, plus tax and shipping. So today I am asking that you will accept a gift of these AEDs and the rescue tubes and take ownership and assume responsibility for their ongoing maintenance. We will need from you a designated staff person that can identify exactly where you think these AEDs might go, such as Cliff Gilker Park or Cooper's Green or the wharf at Roberts Creek. Cheryl Jensen, the unit chief of the Pender Harbor Emergency Health Services ambulance people, she has agreed to maintain an inventory of all of these on the coast. She will also conduct an annual inspection. She's agreed to respond to concerns if there's a problem, and she'll do the training for the public on the operation of these devices. They are all GPS designated, so if you have Pulse Point on your phone, you can pull it up and see where any AED is on the Sunshine Coast. Primarily at the moment, they're all inside. I don't believe we have any that are out of doors, and that's the issue. Bowen Island had an incident where a man dropped and died, and before they couldn't get into the pharmacy, which he was outside of, to get the defibrillator, so he did die. The next morning, they moved the defibrillator outside and embarked on the project. The AED warranties are for 5 years, and your responsibility would be maintaining the batteries and the gel pads. We have currently got support from Dr. Paul Dillon, who is also a Rotarian, and from the Fire Chief Trevor Pike. So I think that's it, unless you have any questions. If I've forgotten anything.
Thank you. I'm going to look to my directors. Do you have any questions on? Okay. Yeah, okay. Director Seegers.
Thank you. It's always interesting to see what you come forward with next.
I'll be burnt out at the end of this.
You said something about batteries and gel pens?
Gel packs. So
Gel packs.
the pads that they put on the chest here and here to shock the heart have a finite life because they get congealed, and so they need to be replaced. And they do that regularly. They don't wait for them to fail.
Okay. So how many, you said 4 in Sechelt, 4 in Gibsons. How many would you be looking at the regional district to take on?
Whatever your staff person would indicate you have need for.
And the Rotary is paying for them?
We're going to raise the funds to actually buy them. They're $629.
Okay.
Rescue tubes are $75 American plus expenses.
Okay. Okay. That's my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep going. Okay, Director Ties.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you have any idea what the annual maintenance cost would be. Do you need to replace the batteries once a year or 3 times a year, that kind of thing?
No, thank goodness, because they're very expensive.
Yeah.
The last I heard, the District of Sechelt paid $700 to do some work on the one that's between the community use room and the library, but it was functional, not just the battery, I understand. Maybe Darnelda could speak to that. The battery's about $160, and hopefully they live as long as their warranty, which would be 5 years. There was some questions around the temperatures. They don't survive over 40 degrees, and they have difficulty under 10 degrees, minus 10. So Cheryl checked into this, and the Bowen Island ones are going strong and no problems.
Okay, Director Hiltz.
Okay, so the idea is there's an agreement then, a piece of paper that is signed by the regional district and the Rotary. Is that part of the proposal?
That's correct. And the proposal would be that once we gift them to you, you would take on the responsibility of the ongoing maintenance costs.
And
Rotary cannot own anything, Mark, so we have to give it to you.
And does the agreement have an ongoing maintenance, like 5 years, 10 years? And if it fails, then are they an obligation to replace it at this location?
Rotary?
The SCRD, you've gifted it, the SCRD now owns it, maintains it, and incurs the liability that if it malfunctions and someone goes to use it, is that also transferred to the regional district?
Are you talking about the liability or the replacement?
Both.
I'm not certain. I couldn't speak to liability. Replacement, I think the regional district could approach the Rotary Club and say, could we have another one? I can't speak to that, but maybe my husband can.
Mark, the intention is that we buy these, we help establish with you where you want them, and then they're yours. If at the end of their life you don't want them anymore, that's your choice. If you want them to continue with them, you do. So our idea is being the spearhead, getting this going, making it work, and hopefully it'll take on a life. Some communities may want one and be willing to take it on. May not necessarily be the government. And that's fine.
Could I speak to the community participation? Some neighborhoods decide they want one. For example, we live on this Seniors Causeway, and we would all get together and say, we think we need one in our neighborhood. And one of the criteria for placement is that the AED is situated in a place where it's longer than 10 minutes for EHS to get there. So the neighborhood collects the money and they own and do their training in their neighborhood. So,
Director McMahon.
I was just wondering, do we have this kind of equipment at the rec center in Gibsons?
yes, you do.
Okay.
They're in all the churches and in all the schools. All the children are trained in how to do it, and all the parishioners in the churches. I know there's one at the Botanical Garden, so all of the people that volunteer there, we all have been certified to use them. Where else? I can't remember.
Director Hiltz.
Speaking of islands, the regional district includes a number of islands that are at least 10 minutes from emergency services. Have you reached out to them? I'm thinking Gambier and Keats and Thormanby Thormanby.
Thank you. Sorry. I spoke to the Islands Trust Director, and she said once it's up and going, we would be very interested. She lives on Gambier Island, but nothing formal has ever engaged with her. She said to contact her through Pamela Goldsmith-Jones' office, so I will.
And that's North Thormanby Island. I know they fundraised to purchase one for themselves, and it's situated on one of the permanent residents' house, so that they actually have something there.
I understand, Cam told me today that Cooper's Green, some citizens there have purchased one. But I don't know that. But he said he'd heard that.
Well, if Cam said it, it must be true.
Must be true.
I'll go to Director Lee and then back to Director Seegers.
My community purchased one as well and trained all the local residents at it at the school, so we're good in my community. The machine looks a little different. Is this a more modern machine, or it's a more compact and modern machine? Yeah, it looks a little neater. And the little birdhouses that you build, it says they have to be heated. Is that correct?
No, they don't have to be.
Oh, okay.
They can be.
They can be, but they don't have to be. Okay.
I think that's for the northern climes.
Oh, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Pender Harbor has identified 3 spots. They want 3 more. Cheryl did. So, but I don't know where. One was Egmont.
Did she identify a community group that was willing to look after it, or would we?
She identified us.
They identified who? You?
She identified us as getting them installed and ready, but identified regional district as a possible person
Oh, okay.
or body to take over the maintenance.
We did it really simple. We put it in a foyer of a private residence, and then put a sign on the street, and then made him in charge of making sure the batteries kept up.
That's pretty brave.
Yeah. So if the SCRD was to do this, do you have an approximate cost of the new batteries and the amount of time it takes to do the maintenance? Like it's once every how many years and that kind of thing?
Well, Cheryl Jensen will check them once a year, and she'll keep an inventory, and she will troubleshoot if there's an indicator on the device that there's a problem. She will take on all that for all of them throughout the coast.
Okay, Director Seegers.
I'd like to make a motion that we refer this to staff to put together process, report, whatever, and bring it back to us for potential implication.
Implementation.
Implementation, that's the word.
Thank you very much for your patience.
Do I have a second on that motion? Seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Staff, there's enough clarity on that, I'm assuming? Yes. Okay, thank you. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Well, so good to see.
Anybody a sign?
Yeah. All right. And if you need order forms for the signs, I can always find you some, so. Or a dozen, so. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So we are going to move on through. Next up on our list are our reports. So I'm going to ask for a motion to receive all the reports first, and then we're going to go, then we'll go through everything individually. So a motion to receive. So moved, seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. So number 4, the Planning and Community Development Committee recommendations numbers 1 through 11 and 3 to 22 of April 11th, 2019. Annex B in our package. Before we move adoption of these recommendations, are there any that the directors would like to pull out and discuss separately? Going twice? No. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of adoption? Okay. Those opposed? Motion carries. Did I ask for? Okay. All right. So the Infrastructure Service Committee recommendations, number 1 to 13 of April 18th, 2018. Are there any of those that the directors would like to pull out and discuss separately before we move adoption of all? Okay, so move to adopt. Oh, sorry, Director Seegers.
I thought this meeting we talked about looking at changing the name of the drought management plan to the water conservation plan, but I didn't see anything in the minutes.
Go over to staff on that.
Thank you for the question. It was discussed, but there was no recommendation made associated with this. So hence not included in the minutes.
Okay, so first, may I have a motion to adopt the recommendations of the April 18th, 2019 Infrastructure Services? So moved, seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. And then Director Seegers, please.
Thank you. I'd like to make a recommendation that staff look at the process and implications of changing the drought management plan to be called the water conservation plan or something similar.
Okay. And may I have a seconder for that? Seconded. Any discussion? Any conversation from staff on that or comment?
No, point taken.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. 5A is our Corporate and Administrative Services Committee recommendations number 4, 6, and 17 of earlier today. Would our directors like to pull out any of those, or can we adopt those as one? Okay. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt? So moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving on, number 6, Chief Building Official Notice on Title, Annex D. Let's Alan Whittleton, our Chief Building Official, if you'd like to Welcome, and, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Whittleton is not in the office today, but we have instead Brian Kennett, who's acting in his place as Chief Building Official.
Well, welcome, and please go ahead and present.
Thank you, Chair. From time to time, staff bring forward recommendations for the placement of notice on title for properties where there are building code contraventions noted. And if there are life safety issues noted, those are also indicated in the report. At this time, staff are bringing forward a recommendation for placement of notice on title for one property at 1200 Stewart Road related to construction without permit. Thank you.
Directors, any questions for staff on this report? Or, okay. Seeing none, sorry.
It would just be a matter of asking whether the property owner was in the gallery and had anything that they wanted. They have an opportunity to make representations.
Okay. Is the property owner in the gallery? Okay. Would you like to? Okay. Director Lam.
Okay. Are these units, are they people living in them, or is it just commercial use or random outbuildings?
Okay. Over to staff.
Thank you for the question, Chair. No, the structures are not occupied. They're commercial and used for storage. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions, either for staff or for the property owner? Okay. Seeing none, we have a motion here that the corporate officer be authorized to file a notice at the Land Title Office regarding the resolution by the Sunshine Coast Regional District Board under Section 57 of the Community Charter against the land title of Lot 8, Block 6, District Lot 692, Plan 3633, PID 005-742-757. Motion, please. So moved and seconded. Seconded. Okay. Any further conversation? Yes. Director Beamish.
Just to ask the question, does the property owner understand the implications of a notice on title? I do, yes. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any further questions? Director Lam.
Yes, I'm just I'm just kind of going from recollection right now, but I think that there was an application for a building permit for this property, maybe just for a new structure. Is that correct, or?
Okay. Over to staff, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, that's correct. And for the new development, staff are pleased to report that all permit paperwork is in order and everything is proceeding as it should.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm just kind of wondering, is the intent of the new building to, once they have the new building erected, would they dispose of or tear down the buildings that are in non-compliance now?
Over to staff.
Thank you for the question, Chair. Staff are optimistic as we're always seeking compliance. However, each case is evaluated on a case-by-case basis, looking at the specific issues, and so staff don't have specific information about the property owner's plans.
Director Seegers.
Thank you. Typical cost to remove this if it's put on?
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to place the notice on title. Are there any further questions or comments? Okay, Director Seegers.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is if we put this notice on title, it does forbid the owner from selling the property unless, because it would be visible by anybody else who'd be looking to buy it. If they bring it into compliance, take the building permits, do what they need to do, it will cost them $100 to discharge. and at this point, it's a liability issue for the regional district. So I'm going to say I'm in favor of this at this point, given there has not been compliance by the homeowner.
Any further comment from staff on that?
Thank you, Chair. Staff would just note that the property owner is not prevented from selling a property with notice placed on title. It serves as a warning to any prospective buyers that an issue exists. Thank you.
Sorry, as the realtor in the room, I should have answered that one. Yeah, that's, yeah. Okay, so are there any further questions or comments from directors? Okay, so we do have the motion on floor. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next on our list is the Interim Chief Administrative Officer's report. Over to Ms. Legault, please.
Thank you, Chair. I have nothing to add. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
That's nice and efficient. Are there any questions for the interim CAO on her report? Director Seegers? No? No? Okay. Okay. Anybody? Oh, yeah. Director Hiltz?
Thanks, Chair. This is on page 21 at the top. And the senior, just a little bit of details about the leadership forum and leading into the strategic plan, and just kind of a timing issue of where we are with the strategic plan, and if there's any documents, that type of information.
Over to staff.
So to start with the leadership forum, there's something that we try to do once a month with some of the managers and upcoming leaders in the organization. We used the session as an opportunity to do some brainstorming around some tactics and targets for the strategic plan. That information was collated, and of course, timing-wise between agenda production, it was sent back to our consultant for incorporation in the strategic plan. He's sent back some comments that we're currently working on back and forth, and so there should be something coming back to the board for more information on the strategic plan in the coming weeks.
Okay. Any other? Director Seegers.
I just want to bring this again to the director's attention on page 21. Angie's indicated that the SCRD is collaborating with the District of Sechelt on open house recognizing Local Government Awareness Week on May 21st. I know some of the District of Sechelt councils will be there, and it would be really nice if some of the regional district directors would be there as well. That's it. Thank you.
The chair will be there. So looking forward to, it's a good opportunity to interact with the community and discuss local government. So, okay. Any further questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you very much for the report, and we'll move on. We have nothing on communications. We don't have any motions. I have a couple of talkers over here on my left, but other than that, we'll move on into bylaws. Okay, so we have bylaws today. We're going to start with bylaw number 8, which is number 8, or Annex F in your agenda package. And it's the Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 310175, 2017. And this is for adoption, electoral area directors only, 1 vote each. So may I ask for a director to move adoption, please? A rural director? So moved and seconded? Seconded? Yes, Director Lee? We're on number 8, Annex F.
Page 22, 23.
Okay. Did you find where we are? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so we have the motion on the floor for adoption, electoral area directors only. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Okay, and none opposed, so that carries. Adoption for 310.175, 2017. Number 9, Annex G in our package, pages 25 to 26 of your package, is the Egmont Pender Harbor Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 708.1, 2019, and this is to move second reading. And so may I have a motion? This is for the electoral area directors again, 1 vote each. May I have a motion for second reading, please? So moved and seconded. Seconded. Any further comment? Seeing none. Electoral area directors only. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay. 0 opposed. Second reading is passed. Sunshine Coast Regional District Area A Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 337.116, 2019. This is also at second reading. Annex H in your package, pages 27 to 28. And so we're going to move second reading at this time. So moved and seconded. Seconded. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. All righty, moving right along, we're at director's reports. And so what order shall we be in today? Director Beamish, you made first eye contact. Yes, Director Lamb, you're on deck.
Well, it's been a busy time, as we all busy. Council last week declared May as Water Month and also Active Transportation Month, so that Director Seegers and I will be riding our bicycles, and I hope that other people will be riding their bicycles. Well, we already know that some directors do ride their bicycles, so that's great. And we've introduced the Cape Town Challenge, and that's challenging people to get by on 50 liters of water for one day. And I've had communication with Cape Town on that sort of thing, and they're quite encouraging and quite supportive of the effort. I've shared some emails with Councillor Mayor Seegers and Director Pratt, Chair Pratt, on that, so that we will set that day. It's almost it's working towards a day zero, which is what Cape Town was working towards, and so they will declare a day zero sometime later in May, and those people who want to participate in that challenge will get by on the 50 liters and let us know how it worked out for them. And we have information on our website about that. There's also, in the email I sent out yesterday, there's also a water calculator, which is very interesting. And I could send that, actually. It might be interesting if you want to see that, how they do that, so that people can individually calculate their water use. And that's what they used in Cape Town, and they're continuing to use it on their website there. So it's an app that they introduced. Budget, we are going to be giving, we hope, the first of 3 readings to our budget next week. We had a budget open house this week in Gibson's, and we're moving forward with that. Earth Day on Monday. I don't know how many. I didn't see anybody else out there, but I was on Park Road. I cleaned Park Road. I've got a picture somewhere of me, a garbage bag full of 20 kilos of garbage in the rain, and it was good. It was good to go out and clean up. You know, what I did notice is that the majority of identifiable garbage was chain food type garbage. And it's interesting to see that, because I didn't see any garbage from the non-chain food restaurants out there. Maybe it's not identifiable, but I didn't find any unidentifiable cups and bags or things. So it's kind of interesting to know that. So that there's an observation. We had last week we had a history walking tour of Gibson's, and it was very good. If you have a chance to take that, there's a gentleman in town who puts that on. And we spent an hour and a half walking with him in Lower Gibson's and understanding the history of that area. And it was very interesting. It was a nice day, and we actually had come to town, come to council and made a presentation, and we contracted with him to take councillors out on that tour. And it's a very interesting tour. We also had a harbor announcement last week from our MP, Pam Goldsmith-Jones, on the resurfacing of the wharf from the top to bottom, as well as reinforcing the wharf for the weight loads on the weight limits on the wharf. So there needs some replacement of some beams underneath. I attended the Sechelt Chamber of Commerce meeting last week. Pam Goldsmith-Jones was there as well. And tonight I get to go talk to the Rotary Club in Gibson. So that I say we're just continuing to be busy. And Sunday, Don, I'll be with you in the park on Sunday afternoon. Look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director Lamb, you're next.
I guess, so District of Sechelt, I guess we're moving our budget forward this year, or this week. This week? Yes. I think so. And yeah, 3 readings, yeah. And I attended the Chamber of Commerce luncheon and with Pamela Goldsmith-Jones, and it's the first time I've actually had a chance to sit and listen to her talk. She's it's very encouraging for young women to I don't know if they can get to I don't know how women get their voice out there, but it was encouraging to see what she's doing for young women and moving the I guess the rights of women ahead. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Beamish, can you turn off your microphone, please?
Sorry?
Your microphone's on. Thank you. You want us to hear the conversation when you have it next time? Okay, great. Thank you. Director McMahon, please. What's up in Elphinstone?
Oh, good question. What is up in Elphinstone? Well, I sent out an e-newsletter this week and a paper newsletter, which will be in mailboxes tomorrow, except for 1V7, which is shared with Gibsons. So those constituents will just have to miss out. In honor of National Poetry Month, I did make an attempt to put together a limerick, but what I discovered here is while Pender and Creeker rhyme with things, Elphinstone doesn't rhyme with anything at all. And I abandoned my attempt. I'm sorry. Perhaps another time. Yeah. I am going to focus on some upcoming stuff this time. If anyone is interested in attending the Car Co-op's fundraising dinner on Saturday night in Roberts Creek, please come tell me. It's a deal. It's about $25. A good time will be held by all. It's family friendly, and it's a great cause. On Sunday, I will be at Earth Day in Roberts Creek. This is my Roberts Creek weekend, helping out with the Car Co-op again. On Monday, for anyone who's interested, the Wood Creek Park Neighborhood Association is holding their AGM at Christian Life Assembly. They are starting the event with a demonstration on how to use fire extinguishers. So that should get things off to a good start. Next, I am looking forward to Transportation Month. I am hoping to work off some of all these meals I have been eating at these conferences where we go sit, eat, sit, eat. So we need active Transportation Month. And finally, I have signed up for the Streamkeepers course, which is being held here June 9th and 16th. If you know anybody who would like to take that, they're focusing on Malcolm Creek and Roberts Creek right now. But I'm very eager to get a group going for Chester Creek in Area E, which is in many ways kind of an ideal creek to take care of because the headwaters go all the way up to Block 1313. And there are a lot of drainage issues that we have in our area where it really does need attention. The dates for the Streamkeepers course are June 9th and 16th. And it's being hosted by the Sunshine Coast Conservation Association if you contact them. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Director McMahon. Let's just go down the road a little bit or up the road, I guess, to the creek. So up to the creek, Director Ties.
Up the creek with a paddle. All right. It may seem a long time ago, but this is actually our first board meeting since the AVICC. Is that correct? So I just want to give a little bit of a recap on that one. Some of the big key items that came out of that one was the presentation by the ladies from Quathet Regional District about Let's Talk Trash, and Powell River apparently has the highest tippage fees in all of British Columbia because they ship their garbage 700 kilometers to the south. So they have a really great initiative on diversion and including a really cool trailer that you can rent out for zero waste initiatives, events and things like that, washing dishes. And so I do hope that we create a relationship with the Quathet Regional District and the Let's Talk Trash ladies, because they're doing great things. We also had some really good meet and greets with the Ministry of Flynn Road, the Forests, Land, Natural Resource, and Rural Development. That one. And so we now have sort of a bit of an idea of what the organizational chart looks like over there, which is helpful, and some key contacts in regards to our future and land use planning. We also had several resolutions go through, including one that was the declaration of a state of climate emergency province-wide, and happy to report that was passed with a large majority, and our staff got Angie Legault and Sherry Reid can be commended for wordsmithing that one, because they actually got an award for a Gold Star resolution as the best worded resolution of the whole meeting. So that was very well done. And it was kind of cool rubbing elbows with people like John Horgan and Andrew Weaver and all those kind of things. So that was AVICC. Maybe some others want to fill in on that as well. But I'd like to also thank Donna for her excellent water dissertation in her newsletter, and I will be sending a link off of my newsletter to that one, because it saves me a whole lot of work, because I couldn't have done it any better. I also want to say thank you to my Grant and Aid Committee. We had our meeting yesterday, and I feel like I've got some good ideas moving forward into our meeting. And then I also was quite grateful at of our very informative Transportation Advisory Committee meeting last week. I think there was a lot of good discussion going around the table, and I also want to thank Colin Midgley for Moti for being on top of communications with us on an issue that we're having down on Gulf Road. And I was also at the Sechelt Chamber of Commerce meeting with Pamela Goldsmith-Jones, so that was interesting as well. And yes, a big reminder, Earth Day, Roberts Creek, April 28th. Come on by, 12 to 5. The Stream Keepers are going to have a table there, so if you're interested in the Stream Keepers, and I'm really happy that somebody's taking the ball there and going and running with it. So come on by, check it out, and I guess that's it for me for now.
Thank you. We're going to move over to West Howe Sound and Director Hiltz.
Thank you, Chair Pratt. From West Howe Sound, Tomorrow is the West Howe Sound Community Forum, which is being hosted by the Islands Trust at Camp Furcombe. So there's a number of the rural directors who are going to that to discuss issues in around West Howe Sound, and that's a collaborative body that's been going since 2002, because there is no forum to deal with the multi-layered intra-jurisdictional issues that happen around Howe Sound. So I'm looking forward to it. One thing that happened this week was Tuesday was the Agriculture Advisory Committee and the West Howe Sound APC, and they strangely came together around what's rural, what sizes of land, what's a farm, what is a farmer, and how we use water. So it was just interesting to, the Ag Committee really got into the water discussion. They're digging into it, and there's going to be some recommendations coming, good feedback, a great discussion. And I still got to just say thanks to the APC and West Howe Sound. The experience and the quality of the discussions that come around are really terrific. So I'm just going to leave it there. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll go up to the northern end of our regional district, and what's going on in Pender Harbour and Egmont?
Thank you, Chair Pratt. Can't tell you everything. Some secrets, you know. First of all, I'd like to say I really enjoyed the Paul River AVIC conference. I learned a lot. One of the most important things I learned is that Donna, Andreas, and Lori are really great dancers. It was awesome. And there was a bit of a subtle thing that happened that I did notice, and that is Nicholas Simons joined us after dinner, of all the places he could have joined us, and he come and joined us. So I think that was mostly because of our really great representation and our personalities, eh? I think he enjoyed himself. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to chair that public hearing in Half Moon. It was a great experience. I had a tough time keeping everybody on track because the people would come and sit in the chair and then they'd start talking to the other audience. In hindsight, I probably should have let them chat for 5 minutes and then say you're over, but anyways, that's an experience learned. One of the things about AVIC I noticed, and that is we were in Paul River, but it kept feeling like we were on Vancouver Island. I don't know why that was, but I had to remind myself where we were. It felt so much like Vancouver Island. And I got to say, it was a great venue, and they were great hosts. It was very well done. So we had an APC last night. It was very interesting. I have a great group of people on the APC. They're a wide range of people, so you get to hear a lot of different views. It's great just to sit there and listen. They were quite confused about the dynamic rural designation. They thought it was an issue for Half Moon Bay to decide. They didn't really want to comment because it's another jurisdiction, which couldn't get them off of that concept. I thought the presenter could have done a little bit better in saying that there's no zoning that meets what they needed to do. That was missing from the conversation. So the why was not well understood. And I should have probably weighed in and explained that, but I didn't. And there's some good news. Pender Harbour Day is going to run again on August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from the Badir Park Wharf. And we've got about 10 wooden boats ready to go already. We'll get 20 when we're finished. So, yeah, mark that on your calendar. Get ready to go. And the last item is that I'd just like to confirm on May 7th we are going to go ahead with our tour of the harbor. We'll start with a tour of Sarah Ray Hall and the outbuildings, and I'll give you like a four-page orientation on what the harbor looks like and what we're going to see, so you can carry it with you and figure out where you are in the harbor, because it's quite confusing. It's a lot of water and a lot of bays, so we'll be able to talk about where we are. We'll stop at stop down at Irvin's and have a look where the pods are going to be built. Where the proposed zoning amendments are for pods. And from there, we'll start the harbor tour from the dock there. So, and we should go from 10 o'clock to around 2 for everybody, so you can put that on your calendar. Sorry for that slip. Anyways, that's for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lee. Over to, it's your turn now.
Thank you. Okay, what do I tell you? Can I tell you stories?
Can you give us a poem?
No, no poem. No. So doesn't rhyme with much either. So I'll start about at the last board meeting. I was not here. I, along with Councillor Scott and our CAO, flew to Victoria and met with Minister Farnworth and the head of Emergency Management BC with regards to Sea-Watch. And they are working with us. It wasn't a no. They are working with us, and details will be worked out over the next while. We don't know what that looks like yet. Also, since then, with regards to Sea-Watch, we've had all of the property owners, except one, serve us with a letter indicating that we will be getting served with a lawsuit. So we're waiting for that documentation to come through. It should come through in the next week or so. So that's where Sea-Watch is. What else happened? AVICC was great. I mean, there's a really good board here. We had Mayor Beamish and the CAO from Gibson's were there, and our whole council was there. It was a great opportunity to spend time together and get to know each other, and get to know some of the other organizations that we work with. Andreas and I and some of my council and Director Lee were sitting down with the forestry people. And I just commented when he said we've got this huge, we've got an organizational chart. I don't think we've shared that with staff. We're probably going to give you a copy because they did a reorg over there. But they gave us a whole copy of who and what and everything and how it's all laid out. So we should probably give you a copy of that. It would help, I think, immensely. So we can make sure that comes to you. Learned about private managed forest, given that we're dealing with one of those in Sechelt as well. So that was helpful. And, I mean, you've all talked about some of the other sessions that we were at. What else? I attended the Shora AGM, so the Sunshine Heights organization AGM. Presented there. One of my other councillors came along with that. Attended the chamber luncheon with Pamela Goldsmith-Jones. Just prior to that, I'll tell you about this one. We had a grade 1-2 class from West Sechelt Elementary come and do a tour. Now, we had this set up months ago. So they came, and the teacher had the kids come with prepared questions. So they took turns asking their questions. My 3 favorite questions were, can we have rides in Sechelt? So, like, we want, like, a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster. Can we have hotels, they said? And then the other one that I thought I'd bring here is, can we make the water slide go faster at the aquatic center? So, yeah, those are cute. I guess the prize for the department, because we broke them up into 3 groups and then toured through the departments upstairs. The finance department actually gave each of the children an envelope with some money in it. They had $180 in play money. And then they handed them a tax bill for $180. Then they took them back to the front entrance to reception to pay their tax bill. It got stamped, paid. They had to give their money over, and they got a little sucker as they did that. So it was a lot of fun. It was good. And we went up in the tower, too. I've never been up in the tower in Sechelt, so they unlocked it, and we got...
But you're the mayor.
I know. I've never been up there. So I got to go up with the tower. That was exciting for me. I like that part. What else? Visitor Center grand reopening in Sechelt was on Saturday. Good turnout. Lots of people came by. Staff are excited. What else have I got on here? RCMP volunteer lunch. I attended yesterday, at the RCMP station in Seashelt. They put on a volunteer lunch every year for people who volunteer with the RCMP. So, for example, the Pender Harbor Police, Community Policing Group were there. Speedwatch from Davis Bay. There were a number of people there. And then we got a tour after. A tour through the whole facility. Again, never been through there. They didn't lock me in any of the cells. They let me leave. That was good. They have cells. They have 6 cells there. They have 6 cells. They showed us where they do breathalyzers, where they do fingerprinting, all kinds of things. And then, what else? Attended the number of other meetings, but I attended the AGM last night for the Seashelt Fire Department, Volunteer Fire Department. And they were talking about their equipment replacement. So Trevor Pike, the chief, was there, and he indicated that he and a few others went out east and spent a week because they spent a few days going over the requirements for their fire truck. They're getting a new fire truck built to their specifications. They've spent a year in putting it together, but then they went out and after were on site with the company and fine-tuned it with their engineers. He looked like a little kid, though, when he was talking about all the toys they got to play with at the place. He said that 1.3 million square feet is this, it's huge. It's the biggest in the world. So they got to play with all these kinds of toys to see what was out there. So that was a lot of fun. What else? At the District of Seashelt, what have we done? We're going to also do a declare May Water Month, and we're taking the resolution from Town of Gibson's. Active Transportation Month, our staff and council are really getting involved in that, so we're going to see all kinds of different things throughout the community. It will be tied in around communication with TRAC. They're taking the lead on the transportation, or the information about that. We gave the first reading to our new cannabis zoning bylaw, and I think Gibson's is looking at doing some adopting similar, so that'll be out to the public to review. What else have we got? Bylaws, our budget has had 3 readings now, so that will be coming back to us at some point here. And yes, I am taking you up on the challenge. I'm getting a hitch put on my car next week. So, and I'm going to have an electric bike for the month. So, because I'll have to haul it some places, so I'll be getting that all set up. This Sunday is Workers' Day of Mourning. So, in Gibson's at 11 and in Seashelt at 11, there will be short little sessions, basically acknowledging those who've been injured or died on the job. And then at 1 o'clock in the afternoon will be an announcement with regards to the renaming of Wormy Lake. So it's been approved, and that at 1 o'clock on Sunday will be an official designation of that. Same place by the Seaside Center. Anything else coming up? Taste of Seashelt next weekend. That's it. That's enough.
That's it?
No, there's lots more.
No. I don't. You have a very full calendar. I'll make a few comments on what other directors have already reported. Director Lee did a very good job of hosting or chairing our first public hearing. So thank you for that. It was after the very quick primer from our from our planning department was very, very helpful. So thank you, GM Hall and your team, and Yuli and Andrew were very helpful at the meeting for us as well. It was good, and it's good to see. That's one part of the process, and it really helped me prepare for the one I'll be doing next month in Pender Harbor, which I'm sure will be a little bit fuller attended. So, as Pender likes to come out in force. AVICC, really enjoyed that. It was a good conference. It made me think about the possibilities, the potential for hosting here. There's a lot of logistics to it, but maybe in a couple years. We don't want to bite off too much too early in our term. Yeah, well, we heard by rumors Seashelt was building a conference center at AVICC. And sorry? with a Ferris wheel, apparently. So, yeah. So, but AVICC was a really, yeah, yeah. It was. That was an interesting rumor to hear from another jurisdiction, wasn't it? We had Half Moon Bay had their first area planning commission meeting this week since November, so it was actually the first time I've been able to attend one as the new director, and so we had our chair and vice chair elections for that. So it was a well-attended meeting, lots of good discussion. This past weekend over Easter, attended an egg hunt down at Mission Point Park with my Rotary Club, and it was really neat to see how many young children, young families we have just in the area of Davis Bay. Is just really incredible. Upcoming, I'm signed up for the dunk tank at May Day during May long weekends, so I asked to be first on the list. But just something to keep in mind if you want to, raise some money for charity and try and dunk the chair. I'd welcome it. Bring it on. Would like to make a note. Former director from West Howe Sound, Ian Wynn, was in the Sun Run last. Yes. So, and his time, he did well, and I can't remember his exact time, but I just wanted, in speaking of Active Transportation Month, and one of our former directors, keeping active, which is really great. So, lots of other stuff upcoming in the days and weeks and months ahead, and Active Transportation Month, I'm going to try and take the bus here a few times, which is going to be difficult because I'll have to at least drive to see Shelton, then bus maybe in from there. But I would like to challenge all of the directors, and this is an idea we got from Director Beamish about walking the Sunshine Coast. So I'll send an email out. We'll figure out the distance of the whole Sunshine Coast, and we'll see how many. See, during the month of May, we'll put a challenge out during the month of May, how many times you can walk from, all the way to Lund. Go, well, okay, well, no, I was thinking lower Sunshine Coast, but, okay, so Port Mellon to Lund. We'll figure out the distance, and we'll put a challenge out there to the directors, and the director who walks it, or walks the most, or what do we get? I'll make cookies. We'll figure out something. Biking doesn't get. We'll figure it out. We'll put out some rules there. I'll get some rules out before the beginning of the month, and we'll let everybody else know. So we have some. Let's be active, and let's be examples, either examples or horrible warnings. So. Okay, with that concludes our director's reports. Do we have any new business? Don't think so. Okay, we do have to move in camera, so I'll ask for the motion and then we'll adjourn, have questions, and go from there. So that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with Section 91A, C, I, and K of the Community Charter, personal information about an identifiable individual, labor relations or other employee relations, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, and negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service. So moved and seconded. Seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move to adjourn. So moved and seconded.